Learning the language, getting information about social services, housing and employment is what migrants and refugees seek at the Caritas Welcome Centre in Stockholm. The Nordic country has a long tradition of welcoming foreigners, but something has changed, says the organisation's managing director.
Most of the surveys shows about 60% of the population were positive towards migration until a few years ago, and then the whole thing changed. And partly also the whole negative narrative by political leadership, making a story about connecting migration with all the criminality and what all went wrong in the society, blaming everything to migrants and migration.
2 million people in Sweden are foreign-born, meaning about 20% of the population. Around 600,000 have their own businesses and contribute to the economy, according to Caritas. But now they're facing more and more distrust. Julius Ntuba works at Caritas as well, helping people with disabilities. He arrived from Cameroon 8 years ago and has seen how the country has slowly closed its doors.
I think we all know that with the new government in place, it's like goodbye. Sweden is full. We don't need people, and which is unfortunate because Sweden was a very welcoming and generous country. But as the year goes by, the immigration laws are becoming very tougher and tougher, and yeah, it's unfortunate. I would just don't come because it's not more welcoming to be here.
The new right-wing Swedish government signed a parliamentary cooperation agreement with the far-right Sweden Democrats. This implies a tough stance on migration. Stockholm shows no appetite to push through the EU's pact on migration and asylum during its 6-month tenure of the Council presidency. The pact is meant to increase common management of migrants and solidarity between member states. But according to Sweden's Employment and Integration Minister, too many migrants could also push down wages.
You have to keep it on a social acceptable level with decent wages, etc. And there's a reform we just now have introduced in Sweden to be clear that it's work with a decent pay.
Despite the fact that pressure will come from the European Parliament and some member states, namely Italy, the Swedish government is clearly saying they don't expect to create much consensus about migration policy. They will try their best in the next EU summit, and probably it will be to Spain to conduct the work in the second semester. Isabel Marques da Silva, Euronews, Stockholm.